Brendan Schaub made a point, and he made it like a complete gentleman. I want to copy Brendan's point, but I also want to make it like a gentleman. My days of being a dick every time I talk about Jon Jones are behind me. And I don't have that feeling towards Jon Jones, by the way. There happens to be another Jon Jones that I've never told you guys about because it doesn't sell. It doesn't work. Angry Chael hating Jon Jones works. But there is another Jon Jones. There's a Jon Jones that my mother and that my wife know that is a complete gentleman, at any rate. Brendan talks about Jon, and Brendan has the right. Brendan was Jon's teammate. He was his workout. He was in the room with him. He knew him on a different level. And Brendan was, very matter of fact, had to do with Gable. Gable, who sure looks like the potential. I mean, Gable just looks, boy, is he exciting. He was exciting for his cup of coffee in the WWE. He looked like he was going to be the next Brock Lesnar. When Gable got over to the NFL, which was very short, very undocumented, but he, to me, looked like the next Steve Neal. If you don't know who Steve Neal is, he ended up winning 3 world championships and did the All-Pro, the Pro Bowl. Is that what they call that? I think 4 times. Just awesome. Wrestler first, went over to football. All right. So Gable in MMA, Gable had paid a compliment. Now, Gable's a young guy. And all guys, I think this is gender. I don't know if this is true for the gals. I can just say all guys have a guy. All guys have a guy that they look up to, that they listen to, that they respect. And Gable went on Joe Rogan, and he was very polite to say that for MMA, that's Jon Jones. That is a mentor. Mentor's a big word. And if Gable had made this statement, I believe watching the Brendan piece, if Gable had made this statement and left that word out, Brendan likely never even made the piece. It was that word, because that's one of the highest praises, and a mentor is also an idol. And the idol is who you want to be like. And Brendan's going, hey, wait, careful, you're a young guy, and there was some mistakes made by Jon, and the guys that you idolize or that are mentoring you, you try to copy, you try to be like outside of the ring. Slow down a second here. That's all Brendan said. Brendan took about 5 minutes to say it, but that's all that he said. And he's right. He made an excellent point. He said, hey, if you want mentorship, try to live the life that Demetrius Johnson lived, just for example. All right. So, the Jones-Gable relationship is one that I want to work. I want this for Jon. I actually want something that Jon can transition to after MMA. That's a hard thing to do. It doesn't matter how good you are. That was a hard thing for Michael Jordan to do. To stay involved in basketball unless he wanted to go into a coaching or management position. He wasn't completely qualified to do either, but could have gotten either. It's a hard thing to stay involved with. Okay. So I want that for Jon. And I don't know how much effort Jon would put into the gym. I don't know how much effort he would put in terms of being a coach, in terms of being there every day, being the first one there, being the one that gets there, turns the lights on, makes sure the mat is clean. The things that a coach has to do, it's the exact opposite role. An athlete's job is to be selfish. A coach's job is to be selfless. And it's one of the, I don't know how much of that Jon would do, but I do like it for him. I do like the idea that Jon stays involved with the sport. I think that Jon's ready to be done. I think that Jon is still the best, but I think that he's ready to be done. And we've seen the best be ready to be done before. Khabib was still the best. George St. Pierre was still the best. Khabib and George St. Pierre might still be the best, but they were ready to be done. They were ready to do something else. And sometimes when a guy gets to that point, he doesn't know anything else. Or there just isn't anything else. And what am I going to do with my time? I know all of us want that problem. we want the problem, but it is a problem. What do I do with my time? What I wake up each day, what do I do? So it would be very nice. I want that for Jon. I want something there. One of the biggest, if you want a visual of Jon's career and of Jon's greatness, of Jon's uniqueness. I was at Madison Square Garden for Jon's last fight. He walks out. Now, the president is there. We're at the Mecca. It's Jones versus Stipe. We waited over a year. We broke some policies to keep this fight together, right? I mean, this is a big deal, and there's really nothing more exciting than the walkout. Jon comes walking out. It's a band of misfits. Now, it's the way things used to be. When I used to fight, I had my 7th fight before I saw a scale. And when I saw a scale, it didn't matter what we weighed. The fight was going to happen, but it was 7 fights in before they even put us on a scale. There was no hand wraps. There was no commissions. Like, it was just a different time. And so to have your buddy come and corner you, this was normal. He'd grab a bucket from under the sink at home. You know, like they dump it ahead like cleaning supplies. He'd bring that bucket, and everybody's doing the best they can. You're trying to find something called ice. No one's got this. This was normal. Jon walks out to Madison Square Garden for a world title fight. He's got he's got Gable Steveson, who knows nothing about MMA. Now, Gable knows everything about competing. He knows nothing about MMA. He's got Gordon Ryan. And there were some stories that went around the internet that Gordon Ryan was training Jon Jones. But I disagree with that a little bit. Gordon was training with Jon Jones. But I follow Gordon on social media. I know Gordon's every move. And he just wasn't in Albuquerque enough. As a matter of fact, if he collectively did 2 full weeks in Albuquerque, that's a pretty good guess. But this is Jon's corner for the world title in front of the president at Madison Square Garden, of which he looked amazing. I mean, Jon looked flat amazing. He hits a spinning kick to the guy's gut. He's 36 years old in a weight class and he's got 1 experience in there. I mean, it was amazing. But the great visual, right, where they say picture's worth 1,000 words, the great visual was the walkout of seeing these 2 guys. Jon had been thrown out of his gym in Albuquerque, and Coach Winks stopped working with him. And I'm just sharing, so there was a question, hey, where is Jon training? And I've seen some videos, but I don't recognize the room. And on the videos, by the way, there's no one in the room. There was Jon and Gable in the Jon and Gable clips, or there was Jon and Gable and Gordon. There wasn't a bunch of guys. Like, it didn't look as though Jon was at a gym. It looked like he found somewhere to work out and brought some guys in. I can relate to that. Like, that's the way that it used to be, but that's not the way that it would work for a world title. It's not the way that it would work by today's standards. It's not the way that it worked at Madison Square Garden. It did for him. And that largely is Brendan's point. There's only one Jon Jones. Do not do what he did and think you're going to get his result. There's only one Jon Jones.